You need to keep your cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another solo episode of Queen Talks. I so appreciate the encouragement from my last solo episode to do more of these. So I am super excited to come on today and have a much needed discussion about being a leader and setting the example and being a role model to others, and what does it really mean to lead people, to lead your teammates or your friends or your family. So, we're going to get into it today. But as always, I'm going to start off with a story. And this one is a funny one because I'm starting to have so many memories pop up from playing soccer at Johns Hopkins University. The NCAA tournament is going on right now, and they are in the Sweet 16 once again, which is amazing for the program. And of course, I had to sport my Hopkins kit from my senior year. These were our away uniforms, and it just feels so good to be in Hopkins blue again. So I think I'm going to tell a lot of these stories in future episodes, but I have a ton of college soccer stories that have just kind of been hidden away in the vault. I think I might call these episodes Stories from the Vault because they're hilarious. And there were a lot of crazy times, a lot of shenanigans in college, and man, do we have story time today. So, I want to talk about leadership and just what the meaning of it is. And I think we need to redefine what it means. And my senior year, I was captain of the soccer team with one of my best friends, and also she was my roommate at the time, Pam. And we were leading this team of 30 plus women. And my senior year preseason was very different than a lot of our past preseasons. We didn't have fitness tests, we didn't have 2 days or 3 days. We went on a trip to Europe. So it was Euro trip, Hopkins women's soccer style, and so much went down in Europe. But Pam and I, as captains, got our first taste of what it meant to be leaders of the team. And I think when you get chosen as captain, you don't think about some of the adversities that are about to come and how you have to help the team get out of certain challenges because you are the leader. I think Pam and I went into this Euro trip like we're going to have fun, we're going to play some soccer against some Spanish and Portuguese national teams, and we're just going to have a grand old time. And we did. Our first stop in the trip was Barcelona, and we played a very good club team from Barcelona in one of our first few days there. And we ended up winning that first game. And then the second game, we played a team from Madrid. And at first, we thought they were just a random Madrid club team. But then we soon realized as we were warming up that it was actually the U17 Spanish women's national team. So we hadn't really been challenged in the past, like quite like this. So we ended up losing that game 6-0. And since I had been on the Hopkins women's soccer team for the past 3 years, I had never lost a game by that much. And the fact that I was one of the captains of the team, I felt deeply embarrassed and devastated that we got crushed by that much. I knew it was going to be a hard game, but I also felt we could have tried harder. We could have kept up with them better. We just weren't playing our game. We weren't playing our style. And yeah, I was just embarrassed. Pam was embarrassed. We were upset for the team. This was not really how we wanted to start off our preseason, our senior season. And it really started to give us a lot of doubts. So after the game, our teammates are all having fun. Everyone's eating. The other team like put on this really cool buffet for us and got us like really nice food. And everyone's like enjoying, even though we had just lost by so much. And I remember sitting alone with Pam, kind of away from the team. And we were just talking about what happened there. Why did we lose by so much? And then our assistant coach saw us by ourselves and he comes over to us and he's like, Pam and Erica, I need to talk to you guys. And my stomach just dropped. I'm like, this is not going to be good because our assistant coach is usually a very positive and jovial guy. And he had a very serious look on his face. He looked concerned. So he sat us down. I feel sick to my stomach. I'm looking at Pam and we're just like, this is not going to be good. And he basically told us that was an unacceptable performance. You two are the leaders of this team. You need to get it together because this is about to be a really long season and we have a chance at winning the Nationals. And if you guys want to make it far in the NCAA tournament, you really need to get it together. And he laid it into us. And I don't blame him for it. It was something that we needed. It was a wake-up call we needed. And no, I didn't want to freaking hear what he had to say, but at the same time, I had to. And so did Pam because we were the captains and it was up to us for the rest of preseason and the rest of season to lift the morale of the team and make sure that we were a winning team. And after our assistant coach said his piece, everyone's still inside at the buffet having a grand old time. And here are Pam and I outside by ourselves, and we just start crying. And Pam starts saying to me, oh my gosh, that was so bad. How are we going to pull the team together? This is so much. I feel like we just got called out by our assistant coach. And she was so upset. She was like bawling. And then I started bawling because she was bawling. I'm one of those people, if I see someone else cry that I'm close to, you bet I'm freaking crying. So I started crying and we wallowed in our sorrow for a couple of minutes and we had a breakdown. We had a breakdown. It just was what it was. But then after that, after we got all of the tears out, we said to each other, we are going to lead this team to an undefeated season, and we are not going to let down just because of this performance. Tim's right. Our assistant coach is right. We do have to bring the team together. We have a bunch of new freshmen coming in, which, by the way, our incoming freshmen did not come on this Euro trip. They were back in Baltimore, Maryland, doing a separate preseason with our second assistant coach. So once we got back to the States, we had to make sure we brought the freshmen under our wing and we made sure the team was getting close and we were keeping the team chemistry alive. So it was such a weird situation to be thrown into. Even though Europe was all fun and games, we had a blast. We did a ton of sightseeing. We went to the beach in Barcelona. We saw a bunch of professional soccer games. Europe was so much fun for the sophomores, juniors, and us seniors. But we also realized once we got back to the States, reality was about to set in. Pam and I are captains. We have to bring the freshmen in. We need to make sure our team is at least getting along because we have 30 plus people on this freaking team. So if there's anything you get from our breakdown in Madrid is a breakdown can always lead to a breakthrough. And I think it's really important if you are a leader of a team, whether it's a team captain or someone who gets a lot of playing time, you have to make sure that you are not wallowing in sorrow during times of chaos. Because if the people who you're trying to lead see you sweat at any moment, then they're going to sweat too, and they're going to lose their cool, and it's not going to help the team. And I think leaders do have this responsibility to keep their cool and stay regulated in front of others who they're trying to set an example for. And I'm not saying as a leader you have to be this perfect human, but I'm also not saying, "Oh, like, you need to spill your guts to everyone and show all your emotions." No, I actually don't believe in that either. I think leaders have this job to be cool amidst chaos, to be able to stay focused and stay productive and make sure others are staying focused and productive. So, Pam and I, we had our breakdown for a couple of minutes. We let it all out, but this was in private to ourselves. This was our captain meeting. And we're like, as soon as we leave this meeting in Madrid and go back, it's showtime. It is time to go. It is time to bring this group together. So, the first thing we did was we just got on with our lives. We couldn't wallow in that sorrow. We had a job to do. We had to bring the group together. So we get back to the States, we meet all of the freshmen for the first time, and immediately we became best friends with them. We included them in everything. We made sure we sat with them at lunch during preseason. We made sure that we were inviting them out with us on the weekends. We made sure the whole team was on the same page. So that was the first thing we did, was bring the team together. And then the second thing we did was we made sure each of us leaned into our own leadership styles. So Pam was more of the rah-rah cheerleader type, super extroverted, super motivational speaker in the locker room. She was always the one to give these just super motivational speeches before we stepped out onto the field. And before we went out there, we're like, yeah, we want to crush them. Like, that's what Pam brought out of us. It was so incredible. And I was more of the lead by example leader, by working hard in practice, staying focused, or getting past a mistake very quickly. I was more of the watch my actions type leader to inspire others to do the same. So Pam and I really leaned into our unique gifts as captains. And we also made sure that other girls who weren't captain or who maybe weren't getting a lot of playing time, they also were leaders in their own way. So girls who were on the bench, we made sure that they weren't resentful, they weren't pouting, and they were always supportive on the bench. Because if you're someone who's not getting a lot of playing time, then I know it really sucks, but you're only going to bring the morale of the team down if you are complaining yourself. If you are over there pouting or talking smack about other girls on the team, that is going to ruin team chemistry and cause so much unnecessary drama. So we made sure that even though other girls on the team weren't captains like us, that everyone had their own leadership role. So it was a hard time in Madrid, Spain. I remember that sob fest like it was yesterday. But I look back and I'm like, damn, we did it. We turned that breakdown into a breakthrough. And our senior season ended up being the most successful season our program had seen at the time. We won 21 games straight. We won our conference for the fourth year in a row, which was amazing, winning it all 4 years that I was there. And we only lost one game, and that was in the Sweet 16 against Amherst. It was neck and neck, and we only lost 1-0. And it was devastating losing that one game 1-0. But we look back on the whole season and just how it started on such a bad foot, and it felt like it was an insurmountable task to bring this team together after such a poor performance in Spain and getting called out by our assistant coach. We thought we weren't going to be able to do it, but we just threw ourselves in there and we did it. And I think senior year was one of my most enjoyable experiences because our team was close the other years I was at Hopkins. We never really had team chemistry issues, but I felt our team was the closest it had ever been. And I think when that is strong, when a group of 30 plus women can come together and get along and embrace each other's strengths and embrace each other's unique leadership qualities. Even if you're not a captain or even if you're not playing, everyone can bring something to the table for the team. So I look back and I just really think leaders do have a responsibility to not showcase how chaotic things are brewing under the surface. And they have to be able to let people know, or at least comfort people, hey, we got this. We're going to get through this. And to not really show that you are losing it, to not really show that your emotions are all over the place. True leaders can stay calm, collected, focused, action oriented in times of disaster and chaos and craziness. I would never want to look up to someone who is anything but. And I've been reluctant to sort of talk about this, and I wasn't sure if I would bring it up today, but even during the past few weeks with some world events going on, I see people losing their emotions on their Instagram stories. And I'm like, wait a minute. Aren't you supposed to be showing up and serving people and serving athletes and serving other coaches or serving your families? And like, I know certain things in like the world or politics might not be going in your favor, but whatever the result of anything, it's like just stay quiet and get on with life and serve who you're supposed to serve. Make a difference in your own community, because as much as you think that getting on Instagram stories and being all emotional and wild and chaotic is helping, it's not. It is only amping people up more, and you're not able to do the work that you're actually called to do. So that was just one thing I noticed in the past few weeks, especially with the election. And I'm not going to get political on here. I mean, whatever the result was, whatever you thought was good or bad, I think sometimes it's best to just stay in your lane and be a leader and lead the people who you're supposed to lead. And I even saw some people like taking off work and saying they needed to process things. And it's like there's always going to be chaos going on in the world. There's always going to be a disaster or a tragedy that's happened. But is it really good to wallow in your sorrow and take a day? Or is it better to be a leader and to show up and to help others? I just have a very unconventional opinion on all of this. I've even written in my book, Female Athlete High Performance, there's a chapter called Service Over Self. I think society is sadly moving toward a way where it's very self-focused and very self-care this, self-care that. Yes, do the basics and give yourself good nutrition and take off days and get enough rest. But I think sometimes you have to realize, okay, who am I leading today? Who am I trying to set an example for? And be that person that people look up to and that people can rely on and turn to for good, sound advice and help, and someone who is able to stay regulated during chaos. So that's all I'm going to say with that. Um, if that's controversial, that's fine. I will take comments below, but I think we really need to define what leadership is. There's this push in society, oh, be vulnerable, spill your guts. Like, there's no such thing as oversharing online. No, I absolutely think there is. I think some things need to stay between you and your spouse, or you and your family, or you and your kids, or you and your friends, and you don't need to spill your guts online. I mean, for me, people come to my page because they want training, nutrition, recovery, load management, and everything female athlete high performance advice. So I'm going to stick to that. And everything else that's really personal, unless it relates to like health and performance, I'm not really going to share too much. That's for other people in my life. And I'm just like really intentional with who I'm leading and who I'm trying to serve and help. And I realized that in college. I realized that in college when our team was falling apart in preseason and we had a long season to go. And I realized that I needed to help my teammates stay focused. There were some practices at Hopkins where I had such a bad day at school. Like, it was to the point where I was crying pretty much weekly because of the academic stress. I was not doing well in calculus and statistics and certain math and economics classes. They were so hard at Hopkins. I reached a breaking point with that multiple times every soccer season. But that didn't mean as a captain, I was going to show up to practice and complain about it, cry about it in front of everyone. No, as soon as I got to practice, the focus was okay, we're doing business now. We are trying to be better as a team. I'm trying to make sure I'm individually ready for this game so I can serve my team. And I'm not going to lose my cool in front of my teammates, even though my life in the background with academics is going in the shitter. So I'm not going to show that to my teammates because that's only going to freak them out too, because they were also going through academic stress. So I'm just not going to amp them up even more. So I think as leaders, it's important to understand your responsibility. Are you riling people up more, or are you actually helping them stay grounded and stay focused on the end goal and just making sure that day to day things are productive? So, this was a short episode. It's actually my birthday tonight, and I'm going out to dinner. I really don't go out to dinner that much because I like to cook my own stuff, but I figured let's just do it. We'll give it a shot. So, I am going out to dinner now. Peace, guys. Thank you for watching.